it were. But I think there's a little bit of reverse snare and cymbal, I think, perhaps just a touch. You get that sort of breathy,
Yeah.
which, always makes me think of Twin Peaks. So anyway, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. Pretty woman out walking with gorillas down my street. From my window, I'm staring while my coffee grows cold. Look over there. Where? There. There's a lady that I used to know. She's married now or engaged or something, so I am told. More on that later. But first, Andy, how the devil are you?
I am doing well, John. How are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, fair to middling. So, you got a song for us. What you got?
Yes, I do. I have a track called Dissolve, and it is by an artist called Absofacto. So I can't imagine you have any, experience listening to Absofacto until today, huh? Yeah.
No, I do not believe so.
Fair, and not a surprise at all. Well, today's your lucky day. Maybe. That'll be up to you to decide, but go off, give this song a listen, and then come back and report your findings.
Can do, will do.
No flask can keep it. Bubble up and cut right through. Just someone I believe in.
Okay, interesting start. We're going to touch the old backwards. Yep. With some sort of, I think, snare and cymbal sounding backwards with a drum beat. And then comes these other sounds, and there's lots of different sounds. But I'm thinking they're all coming from one synthetic source, as it were. We've got this like synthy stabby bits that sound like they're doing the same job as like brass would. One section of bam, bam, bam. But it sounds quite 80s. There's quite a lot of songs that did that in the 80s. We got this kind of almost syncopated beat as well. And then and it's a sort of looped melody. Again, which makes me think this is, done by laptop, as it were, or something more complicated. And then comes the singer. And his voice is okay. It's quite a weak sort of voice though. Again, it's that sort of poppy, slightly dancey, slightly indie sort of sound. With a lot of voices very similar. You couldn't pick it out of a lineup, but it's okay. It's not unpleasant or anything. But yeah, interesting start. Let's see how it goes.
Heat me like a filament. Anytime you're in the room, but you burn me and I'm smoking. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a groove of your love. But I don't even know how the chemistry works when your bullseye kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand and stirring up trouble. Can't find an exit. I wander in a maze alone. If I find you, will you shock me? Left and right. Pretty sure that I've been here before, and it isn't what I wanted. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slow.
Okay, so I think I've got the gist of it now. The main sort of verse bit is this synthy bass going do 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 do, and then the stabby synthy parts going bam bam bam, and then that's pretty much it. And then you've got the vocal melody, kind of. And then you've got lots of effects coming in and out and sort of twisting and turning of dials and things. It sounds like lots of sliders going up and down to make things slightly different, but it's fairly basic. And then this, I was wondering if it's falsetto, but I don't think it is, just his top of his range sort of for the chorus. And he's saying something about, I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly. Um, I'm wondering if it's about like breakup of relationship, that sort of thing. Um, Probably the issue I have with this, and it's just my issue, that his voice doesn't sound particularly emotional or whatever. It sounds quite pernickety. I can imagine this is the sort of voice of someone who would order an egg white omelette. This is just my take. But there you go. That's it. How it continues.
In a pool full of your love, but I don't even know how the chemistry works when
Good
you're
guitar
inside,
plucking.
kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. Your voice like an angel, been chain smoking all month long, like you're someone I believe in.
So there's a nice break here, but you see, you couldn't resist it. There's a effect on the vocal, so he's singing into a bucket again. Just it's like I once had a copy of there's a couple of decent programs, Sony Acid and something else. We would allow you to sort of put a grid out and create music and effects and stuff, and you end up just doing different things in different sections. It becomes almost a mathematical exercise. Um, and I feel like all the little twists and little bits of doing there is because he can. This very much sounds like it's come from one source. I don't see this being a band producing this. This is one guy, his laptop and his truth. It's just interesting. Couldn't resist. He had to sort of different filter on the vocals for this bit because it's dropped down. So I guess he's
Am I only elaborate? Someone you can test things on. This isn't what I signed up for. I just wanted you to. I just wanted. I just wanted you to.
stopping more than I thought it would actually. This bit just there's like a synth part going bum 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 bum. It just made me think of the Beatles. I can't pinpoint which song, but it's interesting. It was like a fakey sort of stringy bit for a while. The multi-track vocals on some of the background hours are quite nice as well. Yeah, it's all interesting stuff.
I just wanted. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool full of your love. But I don't even know how the
So it's like a game of Pong as well.
works when you're poolside, kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool full of your love. But I don't even know how the chemistry works when you're poolside, kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly.
Okay, interesting. I think this was not my cup of tea. at all. I think underneath it all, if you stop messing around, there's a sort of okay sort of tune there. It's quite pleasant. Um, but all the manipulations and stuff like that, just I can hear it. It just, you know, some people are really pleased and it makes their day. And this is a wonderful and interesting and clever song. But not for me. But there is a decent little catchy little number underneath all that nonsense, I think. Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't like terrible. I didn't hate it or anything, but just it didn't do anything for me. Um, and the way he executed it probably put me off a bit more than it would have done for somebody else. But it's interesting stuff. I want to find out if it really is a one person and his key and his laptop, or if it is a band. So we'll have to find out all the details. So let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, John, you've returned. You've re-assimilated after dissolving. What did you make of this track?
Okay, so this poppy little track starts off with this manipulated beat. A touch of the old reversals going on here, which we spoke about recently in another track, but this isn't the whole goddamn shooting match, as it were. But I think there's a little bit of reverse snare and cymbal, I think, perhaps, just a touch. You get that sort of breathy,
Yeah.
which, always makes me think of Twin Peaks. Anyway, then we get a veritable potpourri of sounds, all coming, I believe, from a synthetic source. There's something akin to a piano. There's some kind of horn things and a kind of synthy bass line that sort of join forces and form this melody, which then kind of loops around to this quite interesting syncopated beat. It's kind of like someone pissing around with the on-off switch, but randomly. So it makes it kind of bounce more interestingly. And you have elements sliding up and down and in and out, almost like to a graph of attention, as it were. And it made me think, I remember pissing about with Sony Acid and another sort of software thing, trying to create stuff and music and doing other things. And I think when you have that sort of grid structure, it kind of leads you towards this kind of sound where you have, effects or you drop things in and out. And it makes me think that this is all in the first like 30 seconds. It's like music by laptop, as I call it. It's constructed digitally, originating in that case, I think, from one person rather than a band. Obviously, this is with much better software and an iota of musicality, which I lacked. But apart from that, otherwise, I wouldn't be talking with you now. I'd be having it large in some warehouse in Dusseldorf or pouncing around in a sarong at a beachside soiree in Ayia Napa. Anyway, imagine. Back to reality, as Jazzy B would say. So the singer joins in. He has an okay voice, but it's not particularly memorable. But it's that sort of I wouldn't say thin, but it's not a one you pick out from a lineup. But we've had this discussion before a lot, and it's of this. I'd say in the last 15 years sort of period. After a few lines, I thought he'd go falsetto, but I think it's just the top of his range, actually. It's not quite a falsetto. But I get the lines, I just wanted you to watch me dissolve in a pool slowly, I think. And we get background R's aplenty. And this kind of guitar sound sort of finessing, which is interesting. We go back to the verse section and the synth bass, I'll call it synth bass. I think it was. It might be a real bass manipulated or whatever, but anyway, but it's all sort of grubby sounding. And then we get this sort of technique. I seem to be saying this a lot recently, and I'm worried about myself for saying this, but there's like I'm hearing 80s and everything now, which is, and we get this sort of like stabbing synth chords that are actually doing the job of what an old school song, what the brass or the horn section would do. There's that sort of popping, that pam pam sort of punctuation. But you get this you get this in loads of 80s, you know, Sledgehammer springs to mind by Peter Gabriel, but loads of other stuff like this. And then we have all sorts of other minor effects going on, sort of things phasing in and out. And there's quite a nice rising sort of synth chord, which leads us, it sort of reaches up and leads us back into the chorus, which is quite a nice effect. My issue here, and I stress my issue, is the singer's voice is a touch weak.
Okay.
And I then started projecting a character onto it. But he sounded a little bit pernickety to me. Now I'm guessing that the dissolve of it is regarding a sort of falling out of relationship, because that's quite that line that I call about. I wanted you to watch me dissolve. It's quite passive aggressive, isn't it? And unless I'm reading it totally wrong, but in terms of a fallout relationship and recriminations or whatever, or just telling people all the damage they've done to you, I don't think he has that in his delivery, his voice. To me, he has a sort of voice of a person who orders egg white omelets and then proceeds to tell the waiter, stroke waitress, stroke waiting person exactly how everything should be proportioned and positioned on their plate. So it's more OCD than latent passion. Maybe that's the point, or maybe that's just me. I think it's just me.
That's quite the imagination. I can appreciate it.
So I have to stress, it's not unpleasant. I don't dislike it, but it's not doing anything extra for me either. So then we break down, very interesting, to this fluttering piano. And I get the phrase, is it real or is it Memorex? And then we have these multi-tracked vocals that sort of merge into a bridge version of the chorus, which is really interesting at this point. And this is probably the most fascinating part of the song for me, because I love the sound of that piano. I'm a sucker for that stuff. But this sort of merging bridge, and we get this. I have to say, this bit that sounds, it's like a synth part again, I think, but it sounds almost like a waddling tuba, and it just made me instantly think of the Beatles. And I can't tell you which Beatles song, but it's like bum, 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 you know. And he's just repeating, I just wanted you to. So he's not quite finishing the line each time, which is, again, a classic technique of building. And it does the job. And then these synth parts start to coalesce, almost like sort of bits of crystal. And then as it forms, it drops out again. And then we get the full chorus come back in now with the lyrics against the background, where seemingly someone started a game of Pong. And it goes, boop, randomly going on behind all that, and a second sack full of R's as well, which is quite nice. That resolves into the chorus normal, which is repeated a couple more times, and there's a few more added bits and effects towards the end. So I will say this: song itself has some decent sort of catchy parts to it. It was probably a bit too sort of, I don't mean this to be harsh, but a bit polyester for my taste, as it feels very sort of man-made. Which, if it's a guy doing it on his own, I can totally understand. And he's not doing it for me, so he'll live with that. That's probably why it didn't appeal to me as much as I'm sure this appeals to other people. I thought about the meaning of dissolve, and we come to the classic trifecta. So dissolve, it could be drugs, as in cooking up some meth. Or dissolve, it could be Jesus, as in his faith, the faith dissolving in the perils of the modern world. Or, of course, it could be that classic vampires dissolving in direct sunlight. There you go. So it hits all three. I presume it's a relationship. I have no idea, though. Yeah. That's my
You presume correctly there at the end. Dave did.
But is it a guy or is it a band?
It's a guy. It's just
yeah.
It's a solo project. So yeah, I knew that this would be a bit too modern's not fair because there's modern music that we absolutely love, right? But this modern advent of as you called it, like sort of laptop music making is I knew that it would probably be like, but it's just hooky enough for me that the first time I heard it.
No, I see that. I see that.
Yeah. The first time I heard it, I was like, I want to hear that again and again because it just kept getting stuck in my head. This sort of melody to it all. But yeah, thanks for giving a listen, John. I appreciate your time. So, Absofacto is a solo project by musician Jonathan Visger, the former frontman of Michigan-based indie rock band Mason Proper. In 2008, Visger released his first solo efforts, North South Part 1, under his own name, and Trilobite Trash under his pseudonym Bug Lung Baby. And in 2009, the EP Tagalong was released under the moniker Absofacto, the name Visger has used for all his solo musical projects since. In 2017, Visger, as Absofacto, signed with Atlantic Records and released his major label debut with the EP Thousand Pieces. The song Dissolve, originally released in 2015 before signing with Atlantic, was included as a track on the EP and released as a single in 2018, but it failed to make any kind of impact, which is really surprising to me because I stumbled upon it back in like around 2015 or 2016. So it even predates the signing with Atlantic and then second release to little impact. So that's really interesting that it landed on my map at all. But it debuted on Billboard's Alternative Songs chart in June the next year, 2019, and reached #1 on the chart in January of 2020. Also in 2020, Visger released his second EP under the name Absofacto entitled Someone Else's Dream. In an article and interview with Ones to Watch, the artist was asked his feelings on the genre designation of his music, to which he responded, I really think genre lines are the most boring thing in music. Trying to impose constraints on artists marginalize the depth of their creations. This world is a huge mixing pot of beautiful cultures, and I think everything new and exciting happens when they cross-pollinate. My sound draws from whatever I want, whenever I want, but it's unified by the feelings that it creates, which I actually kind of agree with, to be honest with you. He was also asked about his musical influences and provided quite an interesting laundry list of musicians who have or continue to influence him. I tend to be a huge fan of a particular type of genre blending artist. It's genuinely hard for me to narrow it down. Gorillaz, Joji, Childish Gambino, Muramasa, Kanye, yikes, Frank Ocean, Radiohead, Kid Cudi, A$AP Rocky, Tyler the Creator, Billie Eilish, Bjork, Tame Impala, more on that later, Kaliukas, and Rihanna, specifically her last album, Anti. I could go on and on. Basically, anyone who paints outside the lines and treats visuals as being equally important to the music. Elise Schaefer of Variety magazine described the track as the sort of ethereal indie pop ballad that perfectly soundtracks a summer night drive with the windows down. Dissolve exploded on all platforms, culminating in the song's RIAA Gold certification and reaching the #1 spot on alternative radio at the top of the year, along with other chart feats. So, it was a slow burn, Dissolve. Now, let's jump into these interesting lyrics we've got
Sorry,
here.
Andy.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of years to get to
Well,
reach
even
top
more
of
so, really, when you think about it, because it was
Oh,
released.
because it's a re-release, yeah.
Yeah, 2015, then a re-release in 2017, or 2018, and then it didn't really reach. It started to really gain ground in 2019, and by 2020, it was #1. So yeah, it's a really interesting how it was, like I sort of said, like a slow burn to the top. But yeah, these lyrics. No flask can keep it. Bubble up and cut right through. But you're someone I believe in. You heat me like a filament anytime you're in the room. But you burned me and I'm smoking. I just want you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool of your love. But I don't even know how the chemistry works when you're poolside kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. Can't find an exit. I wander in a maze alone. If I find you, will you shock me? Left, right. Pretty sure that I've been here before, and it isn't what I wanted. It's just I wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool full of your love. But I don't know how the chemistry works when you're poolside, kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, stirring up trouble. Your voice like an angel, been chain smoking all month long, like you're someone I believe in. Am I only a lab rat? Someone that you can test things on? This isn't what I signed up for. I just wanted you to. I just wanted. I just wanted you to. I just wanted. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool full of your love. But I don't even know how the chemistry works when you're poolside, kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly in a pool full of your love. But I don't even know how the chemistry works when you're poolside, kicking in the dirt, kicking in the sand, and stirring up trouble. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve. I just wanted you to watch me dissolve slowly. So Dissolve is the opening track for Absofacto's EP Thousand Pieces, and the song talks about a boyfriend who starts questioning his relationship after reflecting upon his girlfriend's behavior. So yeah, I think it's like I just wanted you to watch me fully fall in love with you, and for this to all work out. But you're over here doing things that's making me question whether or not I want to do that. So yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. It's about a relationship. I mean, I suppose you could extrapolate from it some sort of reference to vampires, but it might be a stretch. So there you go, John. Thanks for
It's an interest. It's just to say, sorry, it's an interesting of all the sort of actions you could associate with this romantic connection. Dissolving is quite an interesting one to pick.
yes,
Um,
instantly think
I'll,
about being thrown into a vat of acid or something like that.
yeah, or an Alka-Seltzer. Yeah, I will say this though. What was that name before? Was it Bug Lung Baby or something?
Yes, yes.
Jesus Jones. I, Absofacto is an interesting name. It kind of sounds like, um, yeah, it sounds like a British name. I like of an amateur collection of musicians who do part-time sort of recital, and they always have a punny sort of, sort
Yeah.
of lip service or ipso facto. It's kind of like a punny name, and you can imagine these fairly middle-aged sort of, 40-year-olds who've been, celloing for a few years and stuff like that, and doing ipso facto. It's really funny.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for giving this thing a listen, John. I really do appreciate your time. Guys, out there in the listening audience, please let us know your thoughts on Dissolve by Absofacto. If it reminded you of anything, if you could take it or leave it, whatever, comment field is there for your use, and we really do appreciate hearing back from you guys. Also, please, while we have your attention, if you're still around, please like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. It really does help us over here at the channel, and we really do appreciate it. All that out of the way, hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next episode of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.